Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Hello, and welcome back to the Love Pod, everyone. My name is Julia, and today I have the privilege of co-hosting with my beloved Nathaniel. I thought you were going to introduce yourself. But anyways, we're so excited for today's guest because it's someone who has been, a part of my life since I was born. And we welcome Nicolas Staltari, and he is my cousin, my guru, since the moments that I've been going through my spiritual awakening and some big transitions in my life. And just to give a little context, the cousin that I remember growing up and the man that we are sitting down with today feels like two completely different people in the best way ever. Nicholas has gone through so much inner transformation in his life, and I'm so excited to share some of his unique perspectives and insights with you all. So, I was thinking about it, Nick, and I was wondering about what was the shifting moment between our relationship. And I would really say it was probably back in 2016, just before I was about to move to Italy. And at the time, we were not really close. You were living away, and I unexpectedly received this beautiful message from you. And I remember reading it and just feeling so moved, so inspired by everything that you had written me. And I actually reread it the other day because I was curious. I'm like, what did he really say in that message? And something that really stood out in the end was what you wrote. You said you have your whole life ahead of you and you're going after it, not waiting for it to come to you. Your courage will not go unrewarded. Always follow your heart and be true to yourself. It was something along those lines. And I remember it just bringing tears to my eyes because I was so excited for this new chapter of my life, but I was also really scared. And, you were reaching out to me, from lived experience and support. And I think you at the time you were the only cousin who actually left the local nest and had moved away. I think you were in BC at the time. And anyways, it's been so beautiful because over the years we've had the chance to reconnect, grow closer to one another, and reflect and have deep conversations together. And it's been really awesome. Today, Nick, you live in Portugal. You're a father, a partner, a man deeply committed to growth, presence, and truth. You've done years of inner work, men's circles, and you've walked through a lot of your own fears, including the fear of abandonment, which we might dive into in today's conversation. So you are also about to welcome another little one into the world this month, and it makes the conversation even more special. We're so thrilled to have you here. With all that to say, welcome to the Love Pod.
Welcome,
Thank you so
Nicholas.
much. Feeling the love already.
Yeah, I would love to start with this first question. So, when I think about you growing up versus who you are today, it just feels like such a massive evolution. So, how do you personally see that journey, compared to who you were back then and the man that you've become today?
I think the thing that calls me the most when you share this is when I started this journey, and not only at the beginning, but just the beginning section of this, I just wanted to jump from where I was to some future version of me that I couldn't even connect with, or I mean, didn't even exist. And it really took a lot to just accept that it's like this, these things take time. And as I've developed along the journey, I've also realized that not only does it take time, but the journey is infinite. Like there is no end. I mean, I will continue this journey for my entire life, and whatever happens beyond, I imagine I will continue the journey afterwards. So really just being patient with myself and showing up and doing the work, you know what I mean, every day in every moment to the best of my abilities. And even though it takes much longer than I thought originally, as I've taken the steps, sometimes I just look back and I'm like, how did I even get to where I am now? I mean, like, how did I get here just by all of those little steps? Because it does take time. And
Yeah.
at the same time, it happens even faster than you would expect if you continue to walk.
Yeah. And you appreciate the miracle that life is. And you look back and you're like, wow, like I am pretty amazing. And you have gratitude and compassion for all parts of your journey, all parts of yourself. I would love to ask if there was a shifting point in your life where you just started to question deeper things and kind of wanted to take a different trajectory.
There was two things. The subtle one that came to me was moving outside of Ottawa. As you know, we come from a big Italian family, and it's a very safe, very loving, very beautiful place to be. And it's not an easy place to leave. So you expressed that I was one of the first people to quote unquote leave the nest. And this was not easy, and I didn't know that I was going for a lifetime. I just knew I needed to do something for me. I wanted to investigate what it is that I was being called to, which at that time was really nature, being in the mountains more than anything. And then the ocean kind of took me by storm as well. Um, so this was the subtle change where it was just like, just go, just follow this curiosity and see. And I go for a year, I go for 2 years, and I can always come home. And this was kind of my expectation at the time, that I would come home to have my family with the rest of my family. This was the subtle one. And then the more awakening one, so to speak, was I did a trip with my beloved at the time down to Colombia, and her family was Colombian, and we got introduced to some medicine ceremonies with the grandmother of the Amazon, of the jungle. And this ceremony, I went in and I was just like, oh, this is the most powerful hallucinogen in the world. Like, this is what I was told. You know what I mean? I watched some documentaries before. I never really expected to encounter this, but there it was. So I showed up, and as I went to ceremony, the one person in the ceremony who spoke English shared with me that she had been highly addicted to heroin and to opium or something very strong, a strong substance like this. And she's like, ever since I've been sitting with this medicine, you know what I mean? Like, I've really transformed my life, and I've really, you know what I mean, gained control of myself over this addiction. And I would just remember sitting there being like, I came here to do drugs, and this lady is here to not do drugs. I'm like, I don't understand this. And I was told, if you have an intention of something you want to work on in your life, now is the opportunity to do it. If you just want to have a beautiful experience, this is also okay. So I had a small intention of like, I think I smoke too much weed, like something very casual like this. And through this experience, I really woke up to the fact that I'm like, I'm addicted to marijuana. Like, I'm not smoking all the days or all the day, but I'm smoking every day. I smoke to celebrate. I smoke when it's a bad day. I smoke to socialize. I smoke when I'm alone. And I'm just like, this substance or this habit has a hold of me. And waking up to this immediately made me stop smoking marijuana. And I didn't want to not smoke marijuana ever again. I just wanted to smoke less, to not smoke so often and so casually. So this opened up my eyes to this, and then that compiled with not smoking anymore also really made me conscious to my life, to my relationship, both my love relationship, but also my relationship with my friends, my relationship with my work, my relationship with where I live. And then I really just started to take account and to start making conscious decisions about how I wanted to live and just making incremental changes. But this was the big, like, Pandora's box of there's a whole other world, and I've been walking through the world just on a path that I've fallen into. Doesn't necessarily need to be a bad fall, but I'm just walking this path, but I'm not haven't decided where I really want to go or how I really want to move through the world. I'm just walking because time passes, and you know what I mean, we do stuff and we show up. And then I was like, how do I want to show up? And maybe I need to step off this path, and maybe I need to take some different turns to better my life.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I really resonate with when you talked about that calling to the expansiveness of the unknown. And I feel like that's, that is the hero's journey, to go into that known, to follow that calling when maybe all the voices around you are living a certain life and have certain expectations for you. And I know that journey well. Julie and I have done it together as well. What do you think it takes, there's a certain level of grit that it takes to listen to that voice and have that courage to leap into the unknown. And like, as you talked about looking back and not even knowing how you got here, like, to me, there's that unknown, the unknown that we don't know. And there's the unknown that we know, like, we would think, okay, well, there's the mountains and I don't know what's there. But then there's the greater kind of mystery of life in terms of maybe levels of consciousness, perceptions, experiences. And I know you've had a number of those things, like from, having very, very alternative lifestyles compared to mainstream people, like being a frugivore and things like that for periods of time. Um, what, yeah, what would you say has been kind of a guiding inner awareness that you've had about yourself that's allowed you to listen to that voice, whereas all of us have the whisper, but not everyone listens?
The seed of this for me what I believe is for everyone is just to have curiosity. As you said, we all have these, I mean, sort of questions, and we meet people that are just living different lives. It doesn't have to be vastly different. It could be I work a 9 to 5, but somebody else does the exact same thing, but they started their own company. And it's just like, this is interesting. Doesn't mean you need to quit your job that day and jump over and start your own business, but to just have that curiosity and to ask these questions, to explore the things that you don't know.
Mm.
You mentioned the mystery. For me, the term that I use and many of my circle and my community uses is we call it the great mystery. I mean, you can call it God, you can call it creation, but it's like it's a great mystery, and we don't know. We may feel a calling, but ultimately, I have no idea where my life is taking me, or what is around the corner, or what is going to show up on my doorstep tomorrow. And to just be curious what's coming and to have acceptance. It doesn't mean I accept everything into my life immediately. I mean, I also need to have boundaries to protect myself, to protect my path, to protect my family, especially, but to at least have acceptance of this is something that exists. Maybe this is something that's bringing tremendous value to somebody else, but there's a reason this exists, and there's a reason that it's presenting itself to me. And how can I just, I mean, accept it for what it is, even if it's at a distance, and maybe ask some questions. And if I feel the call, to investigate further, to not be afraid to to look beyond the known.
Mm.
This
Yeah.
is part one. And part two, I think about this. For me, I've been less so now, but I was a very intense person, a very all in or all out kind of man. And a lot of times it came to a point where it was like, it's when the pain of my current existence became so great that I could not stay where I am anymore. And then it's like, if I absolutely must change where I am, how I am, who I am, how I'm showing up in the world, then I have no choice but to make a choice. And if I'm going to make a choice, then it's probably a good idea for me to look around and see what is available, and then to make a choice that I feel called to in some way or the other, to make a choice that I feel inspired to make, rather than just to switch from one path that's not serving me to another path that may or may not serve me.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
So,
hear Luchan yelling upstairs,
yeah.
Mama. That, yeah, I really resonate with everything you said, Nick. And speaking about this curiosity aspect, I'd love to ask you, what are some of the questions that have been inspiring you on your life journey and that have helped you cultivate the lifestyle that you're living today or that you are reaching towards?
I think the biggest inspiration for me is people. I mean, like,
Hmm.
there's been many, many people in my life that have just showed up, some for a moment, some for months, and some who seem so far to have stuck around for the entire life that we've known each other. And it's like when I see someone who is inspiring, where it's like, I'm living my life this way, but they're doing it better. You know what I mean? Like I would love to be that father. I would love to be that man. And to see this and then again to go and ask them the questions and to spend time with them. There's this saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And it's
Mm.
like the mentors who I've had in my life, I've spent time with them and they come from all walks of life and all different types of facades. You know what I mean? Some of them are very straightforward construction workers, but they just have a tremendous heart. And the way they showed up for their families and their business, I mean, was so inspirational to me. And it's like, I want to be that man. And
Mm.
ultimately, I know that that's inside of me. Like, I
Mm.
also know that I am filled with this infinite love, but I don't know how to manifest this. I don't know how to bring this to the world and to actually, I mean, put my feet on the ground and to act and to speak in this way. So spending time with them, the more you converse with people like this, the more you're having this outside conversation, the more you have this inside conversation with the same vocabulary, with the same mindset. And then,
Mm.
I mean, as the mind is, then so the body becomes, and then so my life has become.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very resonant with that. I feel like it's one of the most important decisions we make on a daily basis, who we surround ourselves with, and having that discernment. It keeps coming up for me, as one of the most important qualities that we can cultivate, especially in an era of like acceleration of technologies, um, of more and more distraction, and so that those voices that are probably mostly ego driven can get in the way of listening to that call as we continue on our path. I'm wondering, as a conscious father, Nick, how you're embodying these qualities, and bring them into your day, and how you've noticed, like you mentioned, how you act and how you talk. Can you talk a little bit about why that's important in terms of manifesting that kind of lived experience?
The first thing that comes to me when you share this about how I do this, and it's like, it took me a long time to get to this place. I cannot show up in my life in any capacity until I can show up for myself. And I used to think this was a very selfish position. I also felt like I was with a partner who was quite selfish in this regard. And there was a light side of this coin and a dark side of this coin. But at that time, I was trying to put my family first in my mind. My ego was saying, put your family first, do this, try to keep the family together, try to make everybody else happy. And I completely lost myself. And when I lose myself, then I can't possibly show up for others. It's like the term of keeping your cup full, and it's like my cup was empty. It was completely drained. And the result of this was I lost my family in the form that it existed before entirely. And I almost lost my life, so to speak, both in terms of the life that I lived and the things that were important to me, but also, thoughts of suicide and like really dark, dark moments. And not moments, short moments, but years. Like, moments turned into days, months, and then years. And it took a lot for me to realize that I have to put myself first and I need to take care of myself, because when my cup is full with all the things that serve me, then I get to overflow. And then my children, my partner, they feel this love, and then they can feel safe because they also know that I'm not being drained. They're not taking anything from me. Everything that I give them is a gift.
Mm. That's beautiful, man.
Can I ask, what did you do to take care of you?
Really just connecting with myself, taking time, taking space, meeting my needs, like really meeting my needs. And of course, especially with children, sometimes you need to,
Be
I
flexible.
need to. Yes, exactly. Sometimes there's a little bit of a give and take, and I need to take care of my needs in an hour, even though I'd like to take care of these needs
We know
now.
the feeling.
Yes, but being able to do so, it helps. And what really, I think the thing that helped me the most was in arguably my darkest hours. I happened to meet my partner, and my partner is incredible. My partner Maya, she's incredibly accepting, and she was willing to accept me in all of my mess and all of my darkness, and to love me. And I didn't know what it meant to be loved like this. So she actually was able to teach me how to love myself, because I was able to see how much she could love me even when I'm not who I wanted to be.
Mm.
It's so beautiful. It's really amazing that these people show up in our lives at the most divine times to, teach us some of the biggest lessons that we came here to learn. And it's because they are simply our mirrors. And the reason that we're able to recognize them, these aspects in them, is because they do exist, in us, but they're just helping us shine light on them, right? Maybe because they've been buried in the shadows for so much time. And so it really is such a blessing to have these people, all relations in our lives, but especially the ones closest to us. And I know Nathaniel and I can relate to many of many of the things that you're sharing. Would you like to talk a little bit more about the piece of the fear of the abandonment, and how that came up for you, and how you've done some healing work around that?
Whoosh.
She's putting on you. This is the
Stop me
second time she's
jumping.
putting you on the spot here. I've noticed.
That's okay. That's why I'm here in the spot. Um, the most striking experience of abandonment for me was my my partner that I had my first child with. She has had and has just a lot of her own challenges, and I was not able to hold space for this. And I had quite an attachment to her. I was really in love. I still love her incredibly much, and I was willing to do anything not to lose her, which is exactly how I ended up losing myself in the process. And through this, me trying to dance around and create harmony or create happiness for her uh, was not what she needed. She really needed this stable structure and this stable person who could hold the family, not just appease the family and appease her needs, because she also didn't know and may still not know exactly what it is that she wants, and also what she needs. So in this process, she was always running from, like constantly pushing me away in every which way, sometimes for very valid reasons, sometimes not for valid reasons. But every time this push came, or this threat of being abandoned, also literally being told, I'm going to leave you, you know what I mean? And this is never going to work. And every time this just ignited this fear. It triggered this massive fear in me that I would lose her and that I would be alone. That I would be alone, that I would lose. Family is the most important thing for me, easily. So I would lose my partner, but also I would lose my child. And this was the fear. So this just ignited this fear, and then I acted out of this place of fear. What can I do to make this go away, to make her happy, to make her stay? And of course, these things didn't work, and it resulted in her leaving me, her physically taking my child out of the country. And this was a big turning moment in my life where I had to I called my mentors and I was like, what do I do? Like, do I follow her? I don't want to lose my son. I want to be with him. And he made it very clear to me, in a very loving, but strong, stable way. He said, if you chase her and follow her, you are setting the expectation that everywhere she goes, you will just follow. So I put my foot down, in the most loving way I could. I could do this much more lovingly now, but in the most loving way I could. And I said, I am staying here. And I went through legal means to have my son returned back to Portugal, where we now live. Um, and it's like the more we try to fight the things that are coming to us, or try to hang on to the things that are leaving us, the more likely we are to lose them. And it's like just the more we create suffering, and to really just let go and allow. And it doesn't mean to be walked all over, because this is also not the solution, but to allow what's going to happen. If chaos is going to happen, chaos is going to happen. And I cannot control this. And the best thing I can do to hold the chaos is to be a fucking mountain, to be solid, to be safe, to be stable, and let the storm blow, because all the storms will blow over. And when the storm blows over, that storm, that chaos needs a place to rest. I mean, that person who's been experiencing that chaos needs something where it can come home to, where it can feel safe. So this is, I don't know how, if I got a bit off track of this abandonment, but I was just trying to avoid this abandonment. And then I got it in, for me, the most sharp way that I possibly could, the potential to lose my partner and lose my son. And thankfully I got to keep at least one of these things. You know what I mean? I have my son very much in my life in a way greater than ever before. And I learned so much from this experience with my current partner. Of course, she also has her moments of chaos. This is the weather of life. But I can hold my center now, and then she can blow her storm. She can blow off her steam. She can, you know what I mean, change this way and that way and this way and that way. And at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I hear you. I see the storm. I see these desires. I see these needs. And here we are. Here I am right now. This is where we're going to move forward. And we can open this up maybe when it's not such a chaotic energy, and we can discuss this, and then we can move through, and we can make logical steps and plans to actually manifest these dreams, because they are beautiful dreams. And the song of the Lion King comes to my mind.
Lion
I think
King.
it's the song they put at the very beginning, and it says
Sprinkle
something
of-
like, no matter what you do, like there's so much to see and so much to do, and it's impossible to do it all. Like you will never be able to see and do it all. So you need to choose wisely. And we can't just be attracted to every shiny thing that comes our way.
Wow. Thank you for your vulnerability and sharing all of that. It really is just such a beautiful reminder that, life, or I even like to think better, that we ourselves give us the exact experiences that we need for our soul's growth, and evolution, in every moment. And whether we understand it at the time or we can reflect back later on and say, oh, that's why I went through that. That was the lesson to be learned. You really can look at it from a place of an open heart and more gratitude. Even if during the time you suffered, you know that there was a reason behind it. And, you know, I bet you have so much compassion for the man you were back then and the man you were today, realizing that all of it that you went through, it's all okay, and it brought you to where you are today. And it's really beautiful to have these experiences in life, to be able to awaken parts of us that are wanting to come through, that are wanting to stand up and shine. And it's not always easy, but that's why, like, I love your answer from before. The questions that you were asking were people, connection, like the fact that we don't have to do this alone, to me, I think is the most exciting part about life and being here.
I also think we
Yeah.
can't do it alone.
No, I agree.
I certainly couldn't do my journey alone. There's no way.
So I'd love to open up more of the question, unless Nathaniel has something to add to that.
Well, I mean, there's lots we could talk about, but I feel like the conversation is going with a good flow. What I just would say is I appreciate your special focus on doing things lovingly, and even, I'm sure there's a lot of nuances there. You said even I could do it more lovingly now, which is a reflection of your growth. But I really feel like that's honorable because other fathers in that kind of situation would probably not be so focused on doing things lovingly. And, especially when encountering one of your core fears of abandonment, when something like that happens. I mean, your partner taking your child to another country. I mean, I don't know if I would be able to handle it so lovingly. I would certainly pray and ask for the guidance as best I can, but I think it's just commendable. So I just want to express my appreciation because I feel like every loving act, every loving thought that we plant here on earth actually creates the way we wish this world to be in subtleties that grow, and we become role models for others and show it another way instead of being combative or trying to dominate a situation, focusing on the loving path. So I just want to express gratitude for being that in the world. We hear that a lot, be the change, and you just demonstrated that. So thank you, Nicholas.
I wanted to share, I may have shared this with Julia before, this concept of responsibility. And it's in this case, for me, responsibility comes down to the words response and ability, is the ability to respond and nothing more. So in this situation where I was presented with my child in another country and I didn't know what to do, of course I could go to combat. I mean, of course I can go to war. It's like, what is my ability to respond to this? And I could do this. What was most important to me was to get my son back, right? To get my child
Mm,
back. So I responded in this way, and it's like, I don't need to do both. I can do both, but I don't need to do both. So it's like, I was very firm and very strong-willed in my determination to get my son back because this was a non-negotiable for me. But that didn't mean that I needed to attack the perpetrator, so to speak, in order to do so.
mm,
And I know a lot of times my ex-partner felt that I was attacking her by taking these steps to take my son back, but it wasn't about her for me, it was about my son. And just separating these two things where it's like, even though I feel all of these things and I absolutely felt rage and anger and all of these things, this was not my motive of operation. This was not my goal. My goal was to get my son back crystal clear. And I sum this up now, after many, many years, also still dealing with conflicts between my ex and myself, co-parenting our child. It's like strong, loving, healthy boundaries. It's like these things are so important. And this came to me also in ceremony, and it was like, if she shows up at my door, what am I going to do? Because I also have a new family now that I need to protect from some of the combative energy that comes my way when she is around. And it's like, if she shows up at my door, I can answer, and I will answer if I am able, if I am available. And I will hear her and I will accept her. But this does not mean I'm going to let her in. This does not mean I'm going to invite her. this does not mean I'm even going to give anything back to her. I mean, I will as feels correct in the moment. But ultimately, this is my house. This is my family, and I will do everything I can to protect them. And if someone shows up at my door, I don't let everybody into my property. I mean, you come by invitation only. And if she shows up and she's in need, then I will answer if I'm available. I will hear her. But I'm going to be very cautious about how I decide to to bend or allow someone through these natural boundaries that I've created for the protection of my family.
Well said. I think it's,
Wisdom.
yeah, clearly you've put a lot of thought into this, and it's so important to have those healthy boundaries that you speak about. So, yeah, I would love to dive deeper into the men's work that you experience in the ways that it has helped, awaken parts of you and understand, more about your body and just like the lessons of your life and all the beautiful insights that I'm sure come along with it. When were you first introduced to the men's work, and how, I mean, how would you describe it?
The very first time I was introduced to this, and I didn't connect with this at the time, but was actually in Vancouver. I joined a small men's group and we just did some work together and some sharing. This was much more subtle for me at the time, also with my ability to show up. Like show up and be vulnerable. And then when I arrived in Portugal 4 years ago, I found out that there was this men's group, and I connected a little bit with some of the workshops. I didn't resonate, or I didn't get so much out of this. And then I heard about one of the retreats, and I attended my first retreat, and it was called the Men's Intensive. And me being somebody who's intense, this was a perfect opportunity for me. So I showed up, and it's intense. It's workshops. At the time, they've become a bit more approachable now. But at the time, it was like from 5 a.m. until 11 o'clock at night, with like maybe half an hour breaks and a little bit longer for lunch. And it was just different embodiment exercises, workshops, getting feedback, dealing with conflict, all of these kinds of things. And it was really, I had never had really good brothers or men in my life. I grew up with two sisters. I had many cousins, so they were my friends. And then I had some best friends, but it was like best friends through elementary school for 5 years, and then switch, I found a new friend. And I was always quite attached to one person, because when I had this friend, it was just like, oh yeah, you're my buddy and I can count on you. And as we get older and we have lives, not everyone is always available. And now I have this group of brothers. I have 20 brothers that I could message right now, that I know super well, that know me super well. And of those 20 brothers, not one, but many will be available at this exact moment to show up at my house, to invite me over for dinner, to go with me for a walk on the beach. And it's like the support network is massive. And to learn what it means to be a man was super important, because I genuinely do not believe men and women are very different creatures. We are, and I it's it's so important to learn. There's so much talk in our society about toxic masculinity. And for me personally, who has always been quite sensitive and connected with my emotions, I've always cried very easily. I'm not afraid of this. But so I was comfortable with this sort of more feminine side of myself, and I was afraid of the masculine side, because from what I heard, masculinity is bad, the patriarchy is killing us, all of these things is suppressing all of this. And there is a tremendously beautiful divine masculinity. And I would love all men to be able to connect with this. I would love all women to also be able to connect with this and to feel safe. This is exactly what I mean when I say, can you be the mountain in the storm? The storm is the feminine. The feminine, everything is connected. Everything is happening all at once. It's beautiful. It's magical. It's creative. But how does this get grounded? This gets grounded through the masculine energy. It can be within a female body, but it gets grounded with the masculine. This is the doer. This is the really implementing all of this great spirit into the world. And yeah, just learning this from other brothers, and seeing people, also seeing men that, we have so many common struggles and challenges. And for, I think, a lot of men, they struggled with being alone. There's this concept of the lone wolf. I can't share, you know what I mean? I can't express myself. I can't be vulnerable in front of another man and tell him what my problems are because he doesn't want to hear it. He's not interested. And this isn't true in my experience. And it does take a certain quality of relationship and of showing up and of acceptance. These are also the principles of the men's work, is to have these agreements with each other that we will accept, that we will listen honestly, that we're not there to be each other's guru. Nobody is a guru. We sit in a circle, we stand in a circle, and everyone is an equal. And we all have our shit, and we're all dealing with it, and we're all becoming better men. And it comes down to ownership. We use the word ownership, and it's like, own your ship, own your shit. I mean, we need to own our shit. There's a lot of crap that we do, you know what I mean, that I have done, and I need to own it. I need to take responsibility for it and accept that this was me not at my best. But I also need to own my ship. I mean, my ship is my life, my ship is my family, my ship is my household, my ship is my business. And it's like, this is my ship, and I'm the captain. And I get to drive this, I get to create it, I get to direct where it's going to go to the best of my abilities. And of course, the storms will come, and sometimes it'll push my ship off course, but ultimately, I'm responsible for that ship. And just sharing this with brothers and realizing that we're not alone is incredibly powerful because this also opens up the opportunity to be vulnerable, to realize that it's like I'm suffering here in the darkness about something, and I'm in a group of 30, 40 men, and 27 men just raised their hands saying they struggle with the exact same thing, or they have struggled with the exact same thing. And these are brothers I look up to. And I'm like, I can't believe that you struggled with this. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I have not always been who I am today. It took work to get here, but there is a path. And the men's work for me has been an incredibly powerful tool and path for becoming who I am. And men now look up to me in the men's groups and the men's retreats because I'm part of the supporting team holding space. And they're like, I really look up to you. And I'm like, I look at you and I'm like, that's exactly where I was, you know what I mean, 4 years ago. Like you showed up and I could see that your life is a mess and you're struggling to show up and to hold yourself together. And it's like, I feel like I was even worse when I showed up. So it's like, keep doing the work. And you see brothers show up retreat after retreat, you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean, a couple years later, and every single time they are different men. And there's this, most brothers that show up, at least for the first time, they're boys, myself included. I showed up as a boy in a man's body. I had no idea how to be a man. I just knew how to be a boy, pretending to be a man in a man's body. And I had to learn a lot in order to become the man that I am.
It's powerful, Nick. And I've done some men's retreats as well. I've done some things with the Mankind Project, and it was very very powerful. And I really feel like men do need to be surrounded by other strong brothers and true friends. I feel like, what you said about the working in isolation and the lone wolf thing, that's definitely been more poignant in particular times of my life. Depending on where we are socially, I find there isn't always the same supports, or maybe I don't look for them as intensively. And yeah, I want to emphasize that for any men listening to this. I feel it's really important. Most of my career too was around strong feminine energy, and I learned to be, I grew up in a household where it was very much like for, what is it? Fight, flight, freeze, and appease. And there's another one, I think, and appease was really how I learned to do well. And I had the balance of like chopping the firewood and building things and doing, construction, landscaping and all that stuff. But then I was also expected to do a lot of the household chores, like cooking and cleaning and all of these things that were also taking care of my parents' emotions. And I find that sometimes we choose our family to give us the conditions to grow into the expression that we wish to be as a man or a woman, and having a support system and realizing you have so many people around you who have similar, patterns and archetypes. I feel like it just, that it's the saying, like, I think what supports does is it anchors us, and it also allows shared shared sadness or shared disappointment in ourselves when our life feels like a mess, to be blanketed and accepted, and also given the anchor to move forward. And it also, the shared wins, the shared happiness, the shared success is amplified because we inspire one another. So there's power in that.
And the inspiration or the celebration, it took me a long time to get to this point where I could uh like just celebrate my wins. I'm also part of a closed men's circle that meets once a month now, going on 3 years. And so we meet every month now for 3 years. We know each other very well. And the first year at least, I was also in a difficult time of my life. But every time I showed up and I was just like, as I go to share, I'm just like, what am I really struggling with? Like, how can I really be vulnerable and show up in this way? And then it got to a point where I was just like, life's pretty good right now. You know what I mean? Like, what do I share? And it was just like, I can share my win. Like, I can share that, like, I've succeeded with something. And because these brothers now know me, they're like, he's not bragging because his business is doing well. We just saw him struggle with this for a whole year. So I can also be happy for him. I'm not jealous for him. It's like, I've seen the struggle, I've seen the work, I see him continuing to show up. And it's like, good for you, brother. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, good. I'm
Yeah.
super happy for you. And to share this, I think that in men, there's a lot of competition. I mean, a lot of our relations with other men is through sports and stuff like this. And it's very easy to compete. And then as we get older and mature, then we're competing for women and stuff like this. And it's like, it can be very easy to get stuck in this realm of competition. And this is not what it's about. It's about cooperation. We
Mhm.
can compete to sharpen each other, but this needs to be an agreed upon competition, so to speak. I
Mhm.
mean, like we are doing this also to make each other better. This is what sports are. Ultimately, we want to win, but it's like when you go to a practice with your own team, you also play against each other. Because if I play my best against my own teammates, then they're also going to get better. And we all get better together. And I think this is also very important.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because I grew up I think in such a secular working class family that there wasn't a lot of time for sports for me. I played some baseball growing up and did some martial arts, and I definitely had some of those elements. But for me, I was always more drawn to the creative, and I was naturally more cooperative. And maybe that is more of the feminine balance in me. I always wanted to um, do projects together, but I found I would bump up against that masculine drive of competition, and sometimes it wasn't always obvious to me. So I did find myself naturally gravitating towards spending more time with myself in nature, in contemplation, discovering meditation, and doing those things. So now I'm finding it really is a return to those balances, And can you talk a little bit about the importance of nurturing both sides of those qualities and maybe how you have found doing that in a balanced way as a family co-creator, as a community builder as well, in terms of showing up in these men's circles? How do you find that rhythm and flow, because you still have those sensitivities as a man, and I because I feel like this is an important conversation in this time where there is still that huge polarity swing of on one end, the emergence of feminism, very important to our culture and our species awakening, especially as we're entering into more of a feminine, a divine feminine era, so to speak, where that balance is returning. But then the pendulum can swing so much where, like you said, there's this emphasis on men are bad, men are wrong, and then so men can now react more in that kind of spirit of like, well, of imbalance. Maybe I'll summarize it here. Mantak Chia talked about it, I think, fairly well. He talked about how a lot of the imbalances we see in the world from a Taoist perspective are that men have yang hearts, or sorry, yin hearts and yang genitals, and women have yin genitals and yang hearts. And when the two are in balance, especially in an intimate way, in a sexual relationship, in a relationship that creates families, it creates it's rooted in unconditional love and there's a flow. But when the man tries to dominate the woman physically because he hasn't learned to cultivate that divine masculinity, to preserve his essence. It's I mean, for the majority of men, there is just physically we're stronger. So it's created this imbalance in a worldwide sense in terms of wars and all these things, but it happens in the family unit. So I'm just wondering your perspective on finding that, continuing your spiritual journey. From my perspective, it's really finding that balance between the masculine and the feminine within ourselves, and knowing, having that awareness of when it's appropriate to be in that sharp masculinity and when it's more appropriate to be in that diffuse space holding capacity that nurtures love, whether it's a relationship with your child or with your with your partner or whatever. Is that clear question? I'm not sure. There's a lot.
There's a clear question somewhere in there for
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
Yeah. I think you touched on it already. It really comes down to doing the internal work for oneself. I think
Yeah.
the ideal situation is like if you are so connected, I mean, with your essence, which is both, it's the divine masculine and the divine feminine combined. And if you are really connected with this, then you can play out both at the same time. And you
Mm,
don't need to choose between masculine and feminine. Uh, for me personally, um, when I stray off of this path a little bit, I think what has helped me, and it comes back to this clear, loving, healthy boundaries. It's I know what my non-negotiables are. This is my masculine side. I know what is acceptable behavior from my children and what isn't acceptable behavior from my children. Um, and then if I actually, this was quite an awakening for me also as my son was growing up when he was young, around 2 years old or something. I just wanted him to be free. It's like, you're a kid, just be free and enjoy life. And too much freedom is also not healthy. And I realized quite quickly that it's like, you need to set the boundaries. If you go to the playground and you allow them to play, it's like, okay, you can play and you can do anything you want and are comfortable with. You know what I mean? But here's the limitations. You can't go beyond this point. You can't climb this high. Whatever it is, you set the boundaries and you create the safe container for them to be completely free within. And this actually helps them, in my experience, to blossom because now they are not concerned about the safety aspect. Dad's already got me covered. Dad's already set the stage and created the container, and now I can be free within it. And this is the same thing I tried to implement at home. You mean when I say there's behaviors that are allowed and not allowed, there's no behavior, there's no emotion that's not allowed. You mean you can be angry and rageful and you know what I mean all of the emotions and sad and in pain and all of these things are welcome. I mean, but you cannot throw this rage at somebody else. You cannot damage, you know what I mean, our house. Like these are the boundaries. So I can show up and it's like, okay, I see again the chaos. Here it is again coming up and I can allow this to be, I can allow it to flow. Sometimes I can even play with it and you know what I mean, stir up the chaos in a healthy way to just help this energy to move. I mean, but the moment this rage starts coming on me and attacking me, these are my boundaries. Then I will hold you still. And I am not going to let you go so long as you're going to be hurting me or somebody else or something in the house, you know what I mean, that is of importance. I mean, but if you want to punch a pillow, let this rage be. If you need to yell as loud as you can, this is fine. But don't be calling me names. Don't be trying to pass on your pain to me. You know what I mean? Because this is not going to help you or me at the end of the day. I mean, this will most likely create resentment and guilt in you. And then I'm also going to feel, you know what I mean, worse because of it. So I think this is how I tried to balance it. It's like the masculine really sets the container and it is responsible for maintaining the structure of what is important and what is non-negotiable for me. And then within this, the chaos can reign. And chaos doesn't need to be negative. Chaos is just unpredictable.
It's part of the creative process, right? That
Yeah.
creative cycle that we have to go through, and children in so many ways, reinvent themselves as they go through their developmental process.
Yeah, I love everything you touched upon. And I think it's such an important foundation as a conscious parenting that maybe you don't even realize until you start living it and being a parent of what your boundaries actually are. I know that's the way it's been for us. And, it's really been making at least me reflect on a deeper level of like, okay, like what are my boundaries as a parent? And I know it's super important for every child to have this. And even just with like the nursing, I never thought I'd be nursing Luciana past 2 years, but I'm also realizing like I need to set my boundaries of when enough is enough. And then whenever I do set that boundary and say, okay, like that is enough. But then she responds. I also realize the importance of me holding space for that response and the emotion that comes with it, and just allowing and accepting. It really makes me realize what an important role we have as conscious parents, to allow and accept and just help hold that sacred space and that sacred container that you talk about, for them to just be, simply just be. And however they are, hi, Nana. However they are being, like, it is okay because it's who they are. But I realize, like, it may trigger something in me, maybe something in my inner child that was, not accepted at a young age, but it's also an opportunity for that to come up and be healed as well. So then I become my own parent to myself and my inner child. And, you just remind me of the importance of, like, this work, this sacred work, to really rebalance these feminine and masculine parts of each of us. And I imagine what a world would look like had we each have these close, circles of, quality relationships and people to just hold space for our healing and our journey. And, I haven't had much experience with women's circles, but the couple times that I did throughout my travels in Costa Rica or living, especially out west in BC, I could be around strangers, but I could feel so safe in that space and just so accepted and loved that the healing emerges, because it's always wanting to. Hi, do you want to say hi to Nicholas? That's Nicholas.
Hi,
Make some
Jana.
art. Do you want to share?
Do you want to share your art?
Wow.
Did you color a picture? Wow. But really, like, feeling like, for me, one of my biggest things is not feeling enough, and not feeling like I love myself. And obviously that stems from certain experiences and beliefs I had growing up as a little girl. But in those, rare and sacred moments that I had safe containers to observe these parts of me and these beliefs, they dissolve, because the true essence of who I am has always been enough. And in those moments, I became aware of that. And it was so beautiful because I had these women around me reminding me of that truth. And I just felt nothing but love for myself, for everything around me. And I know that, there's always layers and levels to go deeper into this work, as we are infinite beings. But the more that we can make time for this inner work, that some people don't even label as work because it's not so much in the physical context. But the more that we can be open to go within and to make space for these aspects and these, parts of us wanting to come to the light, I think the world will be such a more beautiful space. And I even think about, like, one thing we're really interested in doing is like family retreats, because a lot of the time, and there's time for, not being with the children, but I also think about families, how many families perhaps want to be more conscious together or have deeper connection and closer relationships. So I really would love to see a world where there's family retreats and there's opportunities for, like, work to be done with the children and with the partners. I know that there's probably, like, this already exists probably to some extent, but to have the facilitated, space and the sacred containers for families to be together and to go through beautiful experiences like this, to grow closer together, I think would be absolutely amazing. And I totally see it, and something that we would like to co-create. But I want to ask you this, Nicholas, because a lot of the times you even spoke about earlier, like, maybe the men, you know, say, I can't cry or I can't emote or whatever it is. And so maybe they're kind of uh, not so much, pulled towards the men's work or the men's circles, but maybe they are. Maybe there are men out there who are listening to this right now and saying, I am open to doing the work. I just don't know where to find the people. I've tried to go out and meet men, or I've tried to search for men's circles, but it's just like, where would you suggest they can start to find, a men's circle in their area or online? I don't know.
Start in the palm of your hand. I imagine everyone listening to this podcast has a cell phone that fits in their hand. And if you go there, you can absolutely find men's circles anywhere in the world. And I know this because I've connected to this work now, but I have brothers who have traveled the world and have found men's circles every single place they For us personally, the organization that I am supporting and a part of, and that really guided me on this journey, is the Men's Academy. So I shared the link to their social media, and their website should be launched soon as they've transitioned into a new stage. And currently, our retreats are in Portugal, but they're expanding all over Europe. Most of the brothers that come, or half of the brothers that come, are from elsewhere, from Germany, from Austria, Switzerland, places like that. And I would like to be one of the members that also brings this organization to Canada. So this is one place to find it. I've never experienced the work of them, but there's also an organization called Sacred Sons that does similar work. They're more North America based. So there's no shortage. If you want the work, it is there. And you're absolutely right that it is work. And we share this when we get together. It's like we're doing work and it's hard work, but it also pays off, and it's the most rewarding work I've ever done. And I know for most of the brothers, they would probably also.
Mhm. Yeah, and the Mankind Project as well is, I believe, international, and I would say is a good place to check out as well. They do some excellent work. I would like to see, part of the role of Lightheart Vision is to build bridges between conscious communities, and I feel like, when I think about the whole of us, and our symbiotic relationship with Mother Earth, I feel like, there's so many, almost like bamboo roots growing. There's all these organizations doing this foundational work. And in order to facilitate the era of, an era of more harmonious connections, of more luxuriance on our world, essentially a world that is more enlightened as our species grows, I feel we need to synergize some of our efforts to embodying those higher visions. So I'd love to see more and more access, like Julia was talking about, community centers and like places where we can gather and do the work with our children. I feel like as much as it is important for us to do the work in circles with other men and women doing their women's work and stuff, having places where we can just gather and be in community more, I feel is so essential, especially in North America. I also know that I've heard that Portugal, I've never been there, but Portugal is much more conducive to community. Can you share a little bit about your experience from that perspective?
Unbelievable. The community here is unbelievable. And when you come to visit, or for me, when I first arrived living here, I arrived at the beginning of summer, and it's quite a tourist destination. And it's like I see expats, I see local Portuguese people, and then I see tourists. And everything is, I don't want to say it's underground, but it's like nothing's advertised. Like there's no billboards or signs. There's no like major gathering places that are, within the city centers or something like this. It's all, on the people's lands or in these retreat centers, and it takes a little bit to find your way. But again, it's like as you show up. The first gathering I ever did was a small cacao ceremony, and this is where I met my partner. And then it's like things just unfold, and as you make these connections with people, other people are looking for you. As much as I am looking for someone else is also looking for me. And it's like once you can make these connections, and it does require some effort. You need to reach out. You need to, be willing to step into the unknown and maybe go for a coffee or meet somebody that, is not something you would typically do, just to learn more, and then to let the path to let the picture be painted.
Yeah.
So I'm here now 4 years, and it's like now I'm being invited to an abundance of things. I don't even go looking for anything. I'm not a social media person. I don't go, even like we have Telegram groups for all of these different events and stuff. And it's like, I don't go look at any of them. It's like, I just hear from people like, hey, are you coming to this? Hey, do you want to come? Hey, can you come support this? And then it's like, which one do I choose? This is the challenge now.
Yeah.
But this is the result of me showing up and making these connections, and people know Nicolas enjoys this work. Nicolas is, someone who can really be supportive, or help to co-create this space, because it is a co-creation. The idea of these family retreats, I understand and appreciate this. I want to make a quick note. I have not been, but one of my best brothers here attends something yearly called the Earth Lodge. I think the largest one is in Germany. The one he does is in Italy. and it's basically it's the teachings of the Sundance. It's not Sundance, but it's the teachings of the Sundance, and it's a family gathering, and all the children spend the whole week together doing their work, and all
Okay,
the
wow.
adults spend the whole time together doing their work for all the different age groups, and then they come together at the end.
Oh,
And
that's
this is
beautiful.
definitely an excellent opportunity to go as a family.
Okay,
But the
that's
most
wonderful.
important thing is ceremony is every day.
Mm.
Okay? You want to create this? We don't need a community center. This would be lovely. This would be very supportive of the
Mhm.
work. It's what we are doing right now.
Mhm.
It's what you two and Luciana are doing. It's what we are doing with our extended family, with our friends. This is how we create it. We are creating it in every day and in every moment. And someone who's looking for a men's circle, maybe you are not close to something and you would like to be close to something that is available more frequently than needing to go hop on an airplane and go to a retreat. Contact some brothers who might be interested, who might be interested in doing this work. Ask them if they have other brothers who are interested in doing this work, and create your own circle and
Mm.
meet once a month, once every 2 weeks, once every 2 months.
Yeah.
Use AI. What are good principles and agreements we can have so that we can keep this sacred? Because none of us know how to do this. And
Mm.
you know what I mean? You can create this and then you work and it gets better and you co-create and create this space for yourself. Because again, it's not about one person leading. There's no gurus. We're all just trying to learn off of each other. And if you have the right principles in place, I think this is available anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, very well said and very pragmatic, Nicholas. I, it's really awesome. You know, you have such a robust perspective and experience, and I really appreciate that reminder of the moments that we're in, you know, and the importance of today. Sometimes so easily it can be about future thinking, but I agree with you, you know, living into that state of, you know, co-creation is about being in the moments. So really beautiful, you know, the conversation about
She wants to say bite.
about everything, you know, you've shared. We really appreciate you coming and sharing your journey, and letting us know the work that you're doing now. Is there anything that you want to particularly promote before we like? What's the best way of people to connect with you? Do you offer any kind of mentorship or anything like that?
I'm not currently offering anything other than my presence where it is needed. Trying to think about a good way for people to connect with me. Hmm. I will need to think about this, and maybe I will set up a little email or a way to get in. As I said, I'm not very public on social media. But
If
in general, I will
available.
share this, and you can put this in a link in the description or something like this. And I want to encourage anyone who is interested, just to share or to receive support or anything like this. I am always available. I have a life, and it can be busy. But if you write to me, I promise you that I will write back and support you in the best possible way, whether it's to redirect you or to hold space or to connect you. I can definitely make this available, so I will. Other than this, I will promote, quote unquote, the Men's Academy. This is the organization that does the men's groups and the men's retreats here in Portugal and in Europe. It's a fantastic resource. And there's also an online circle that anybody can join for free. It's once a month. So this is also an excellent way. The link hopefully will also be in the description for this. I believe it's men_s_academy on Instagram. It's probably the easiest place to follow them. And then the last thing I wanted to share, as you shared this beautiful lesson and wisdom that I received not so long ago. And I encourage anyone who cares to listen, it's to say and to really feel and resonate with these words. And the words are, I am perfect. And to say this, repeat this to yourself or say this out loud and to really feel this, because for me, my God, my creator is perfect. And this God and creator created me, and it would not have created an imperfect being. And this doesn't mean that everything I do is in the best way possible. I mean, but I am perfect with all of my mistakes. I mean, a mistake is just a missed take. And this is how I learn, and this is how I grow. And to really accept oneself for being really truly divinely perfect is a beautiful reminder, especially when we're in those darker moments, to love ourselves through the through our own judgment and maybe our own shame.
I really appreciate this perspective, and it really does confront a lot of the memes and beliefs I hear other people talking about, especially in the self-development world, especially, in even spiritual circles I've been in, and everyone kind of says, "Well, I'm just an imperfect human," and I when I read Don Miguel Ruiz's book, Voice of Knowledge, this is exactly what he shares as well, and I feel like it's a powerful paradigm shift when we recognize, like, when we look at the wholeness of our beingness and our willingness as an individuation of that creator to go and have a journey with seeming imperfections, to go through the vicissitudes, the challenges, to climb those mountains and to feel those feelings, to really have a whole experience. When we zoom out and look at the whole picture, we never left our wholeness. We simply went into the experience of that which we are not, to experience again the fullness. So it takes into account the whole journey, and knowing that perfection is there, that it's not something that we can achieve. It's just something that we can embrace. It's such a powerful paradigm shift, and I hope more people embrace that and stop playing the, well, I'm just imperfect, and using that as a reason to feel bad, or to make things okay. Because a lot of people you know talk about perfectionism, and to me, perfectionism is a deep fear and insecurity of being imperfect and trying to make yourself perfect. So it has nothing to do with perfection at all. It's like, it's just pure fear, which is, obviously we have the ability as free beings to experience that. But I just wanted to emphasize what you're saying and how important that is, to know that you are like that which you came from. And how could a perfect um how could, like, to me, love is perfect in just its nature, and when you look at the highest level of intelligent love, like, how could it be anything other than perfect? It's love. It has no conditionality. It has no it's capable of any transformation. To me, I've felt that power, and to remember that is just powerful. So thank you, Nicholas. I was going to ask you, we always ask our inspiring guests if you could say anything to the world through some magical megaphone where everyone could hear you. What would you say? And you may have already just said it, but I'll give you the chance.
Hmm. Life is simple. Just be.
Life is simple. Can you repeat the last part? I missed it.
Just be.
Just be. Life is simple. Just
Love.
be.
Hmm.
Thanks for enduring some of the chaos here. It's dodo time soon. Well,
Oh,
It's
Nicholas, such a
beautiful.
pleasure. Julia, do you want to say anything?
no, I love how you ended it with just be. It's really that simple. And I feel like a lot of us forget that as human beings that we are, is that it's okay to just be.
Yeah, so profound. Well, we have a recording, but Luciana, would you like to say thanks for watching?
Can you say bye-bye to Nicholas?
Can you say
Bye-bye
bye?
to everybody?
Are you hiding
Hiding
behind your
behind my
hair?
hair. Well, I'm just mindful of the time.
Yeah.
I thank you so much, Nick, for coming on, sharing your story, sharing your life, and all the beautiful wisdom that you've cultivated along your life journey. I know a lot of people listening to this will be very inspired. So I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy life. Congratulations again for the new life to come
Yeah,
very soon. It's
congratulations,
going to be
Nicholas.
amazing, and just sending you all of our love.
Thank you guys so much. It was an absolute pleasure. I just feel inspired and full of love and full of joy. It was a real treat. So thank you guys also so much for inviting me and also for holding the space so beautifully.
Our pleasure, Nicholas. And thanks for the laughs, Luciana.
The Bacho. Can you say
Definitely
the Bacho?
created some laughs this time. All right. Well, we're gonna share a screen where we get to see Luciana playing in the snow a little bit here. And the snow is melted in Ottawa. There's still some patches, but we're gonna have to update our screen here soon. So thanks again, Nicholas. Blessings to you and all those who you touch, your beautiful family.
And we look forward to meeting your community in Portugal one day.
See the market.
Okay.
I'll see the market.
Yeah, you're going to see it in just a second.
For watching.
Thank you for watching.
Say have a great day.
Have a great day.
I love you.
I love you.
See you soon.
Soon.
Hey, bye. Bye, Joel. Mwah.